Welcome to Potentials. This is Leja, and today we have the best of TikTok. I have a bunch of videos that I've been like saving off of TikTok that I just I just love. And so I'm going to get started. All right. I didn't mean to have that up. But yes, okay. So this is the first one, and just bear with me because I'm not going to say a whole lot about them. I just think that they speak for themselves, and I just find them fascinating. This one I have to talk over because I don't think it has any words. It's just music, and obviously it's atmospheric generated free electricity is what it's showing. This is for entertainment purposes only. I just really enjoy looking at this stuff, and I find it fascinating. I just look at this. It's so amazing. Like, look at that. Um, what do you think that is? I don't think it's CGI. I think it's pretty real. It's showing Myanmar, Southeast Asia, which is actually near India, not far from India and Burma. I think it's in Burma, actually. So, how do they have this? And we don't. I just think that's fascinating. They're just this little tiny country that is not a world power. That's probably why they have it. There's no politics involved. And, I don't know if everybody in Burma has free energy, if it's just a certain amount of people that live near these generators that have it. I'm not sure quite how it works, but it looks like it generates quite a bit of energy. So just find that fascinating. Anyway, this goes on for quite a while. And shout out to Shireen Tajur 6 for posting this on TikTok. I love it. And thank you for allowing me to share it. So, all right, the next one is the Doctor Regenerated. It's one of my favorites. I don't know if you can hear him. Oh yes, from the from Doctor Who.
This is not your world. Some truth resonates in that line. Perhaps there's more to these resets than just a timeline thing. Perhaps these Mandela effects, these mud floods, these obvious signs of resets, these obvious signs of people remembering things completely different. Perhaps in a way they're all linked. What we're having is a bleed through of realities, a bleed through of dimensions. Why in this timeline we have a past that misaligns so differently from our current time. Inventions and capabilities and flying machines that seem far different than what we've been taught in school. The thing is, nobody, myself included, knows all the answers. We can only identify the problems, the tampering of our past, the tampering of our time, and put the pieces together from there. You may not find all the answers, but like life, the journey is far grander than the destination sometimes. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
I just love that guy. His his commentaries are brilliant, and I feel him, and I just think this stuff is fascinating to me.
From 1905, World's Fair in Oregon, showing more airships. And since I haven't really covered this topic yet on this channel, in my opinion, and a few others, this form of travel was all over the place. It wasn't just created in the 1800s, and the Hindenburg event was used as a scare tactic to make these airships look faulty, removing this free energy form of transportation technology out of our lives. Do you really think that they put a gas in these airships that would be so incredibly flammable and fly them over massive cities? Or does it make more sense that this Hindenburg event was a planned event to get rid of this free form of travel and wipe it from the history books? Here we have a photo of one of these airships sitting in between the two spires of the Old World building.
Right
You can
there.
see that they use these spires to electrically charge these airships. And this was common knowledge. And in the very next photo, it's leaving the port. We are not given the truth about our history. This isn't something that we are ever told about in our mainstream schooling system all over the world. Do you find that odd? Let's keep digging. We see that the US Army had this technology in the 1800s, as well as the Navy. Now, this is a photo from July of 1931, and we clearly have an airship charging at the top of this building. So we have a lot going on here. And this was within the last 100 years, an airship charging at the top
That was called a mooring station, and that's what they used to call them.
of this tower. Did you think they only charge at the top of buildings? Of course not. They had charging docks in the middle of the water. Here we have a photo of the US Navy airship in 1924, charging from this boat. Now let's zoom in on this charging station to get a good look at what's going on here. Now, this is a technology that we were never told about. This is hidden from our timeline, a clear proof that there is much more to the story than what we've been told, especially since this was not thousands of years ago, and shows how easily history can be rewritten. This technology should be common knowledge at this point. Here we have another angle in Rhode Island of the charging taking place. These airships were not powered by gas or simply helium. And if we switch angles here, we can actually see the charging tool that was used right at the top of this tower. They're clearly about to connect to the airship.
Right
So this,
here.
in my opinion, is clearly explaining what's going on at the top of these old world buildings. They were charging stations for the airships. They have the same features, and I guarantee you that they still turn on, since this was not that long ago. And I'm going to take this time right now to answer a lot of people's question. Will we ever find the truth? As we keep uncovering more and more documented evidence, we're going to find that the previous civilization was not that far in the past. And our current structures hold so much more technology than we ever truly understood. So in my opinion, yes, we are going to find the truth about all of this. We are uncovering the truth faster and faster. And this community gets bigger and bigger, with more and more people sharing their thoughts and knowledge. The mainstream history is becoming comedy hour at this point. So we can clearly see that these buildings all around the world may have had a second purpose, but they were without a doubt here to generate free energy, specifically for airships. And once you realize this, then we can go deeper and ask the question, was the previous civilization capable of using these buildings to power their flight that were so much more powerful, so much faster, and so much more incredible than an airship? I believe that they fully understood this technology. They were the ones that constructed it. They had this technology and were able to travel through the air so much faster than we can today while using the Earth's natural energy. These buildings are technology. They are able to extract the energy and are able to turn it into a fuel. If you're looking for a why, a motive to suppress this technology, well, it would 100% benefit a civilization, us. It's free. There is zero benefit to free transportation, free energy. Do we need to go further for the why? So when you go around your town now and see the top of these buildings, we can all understand how powerful.
Yes, okay. Also just want to give a shout out to My Lunch Break, because that's where that was originally taken from. And I really love that show. I highly recommend watching it on YouTube. He has a channel called My Lunch Break. And that was just a clip from one of his many videos. And he just uncovers so many things. He goes all over the world to different buildings and just shows what happened and how preposterous it is that they are, they've used all these narratives that are really don't make any sense, clearly don't make any sense. So I really love that channel, and it's a great one, My Lunch Break. So here's another one, Cultivate, Elevate.
1880s.
He's really good.
So here's how people fly on aerial missiles. You know, you have the Wright brothers where they're flying their plane, their first plane flight, and the people aren't even paying attention. They're like looking off to the side, and not even in shock and awe for the first airplane because people were already in the air. I started to realize that all of this stuff was already existing, but the people who were living at the time didn't realize what they were living in. And then as they would do these resets through war and different actions, hurricanes, fires, storms, and things like that, then all of a sudden they wipe this stuff out. And then they bring in a new Oregon Trail. Everybody remembers playing that game, and your mule died in dysentery. And then those people thought, oh, okay, this is how we get to, doing X, Y, and Z. And that's why I think you said where we should be much farther advanced. Yes, 100%, because when you look at what the technology was in the 1900s. You had solar panels in the 1900s. You had atmospheric energy. You had Tesla. You know, you had Herman Blossom. You had Nathan B. Stubblefield. You had John Keeley. John Keeley created an ether motor, a motor that ran on our mind. 1888.
Wow.
So you're sitting there thinking, where did that come from? Where did all this technology go? And what I realize is we've been paralyzed because we're not looking at the past. So we don't know that the
Just to put it in perspective, my grandma was born in 1888. Okay. And I spoke to her when I was a little girl. And I now look back and think, why, if I would have known these things, I could have asked her these questions like, what was it like? Did you see airships in the sky when you were a little girl? What was life like as a child? You know, she grew up in Italy. It was probably much different there, but, you know, and then she came to America when she was 16 and was, you know, an arranged marriage. So it's very different lifestyle, but what they had back then, what we could possibly know, if we just would have known what questions to ask our grandparents, you know, just we didn't know.
these things existed. And then we're sold the narrative of unsustainable, you know, world economic nonsense. And then we didn't see what we really had. It's always here. It was always here. And that's why I like to go back to these pictures and kind of throw them in there so we can see what we once were, or what we were maybe once part of when they were much larger people.
Yes. Oh, see, so check him out. That right there on TikTok. He's really good. He's got so many great videos. This one's interesting. This is Turkmenistan, which is
It's called
Ashgabat.
Ashgabat, and it's the capital of Turkmenistan. The architecture looks like technology. Apparently, the people don't pay for energy. There are many pictures, but so little people can be spotted.
not very many, but there's one. There's some right there, I think.
The architecture resembles free energy technology. Have you seen the street
Wow.
lights
Look at that.
and how many there are?
Beautiful. Look at those. They look like old school lamps.
The whole place is lit up at night too. But why?
Wow. It's beautiful. Look at that gold. It's either gold or copper. I think it's gold. Because it's a conductive.
Have a look for yourself using Google Maps.
You can actually find it. It's
The geometry and patterns are crazy.
Yep, that's gold. Look at that. It's a conductor,
Is this the
generator.
And are they trying to hide it with trees?
Look at the eye shapes. They look like eyes. Wow. Yeah. Interesting, right?
Look at how much it's lit at night with no one around.
Wow. That's like a Star of David.
Wouldn't be feasible with gas power, right?
Wow. It's beautiful.
It's so advanced and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is. So nobody bothers them. I don't blame them at all. Okay, so this is another one, free energy. This is amazing. I love this. So they've got a copper coil and a ferrite magnet. And these little guys right here. And look, lights up the light bulb. For like however much it spent, you cost to buy this stuff, not very much. You could, all of the lights in your home could operate this way. And until you remove the ferrite magnet, and then that's how you would shut it off, I guess. It's, oh, that's too hard. I don't want to have to turn off my light just by removing a magnet every day. I mean, I'd have to go around the house and take the magnet off every time. Ah, it's so inconvenient. Oh my God, I could see people saying that now. Oh, okay. Anyway,
History you've been taught is all a big lie. Before the civilization we have today, there was another civilization that's been hidden from us. This civilization was far more advanced than us, but in a different way. They had harnessed the ability to use atmospheric energy. They incorporated it into all of their buildings and were able to create free energy for everyone at all times. They had also harnessed the power of frequencies and were able to build grand architecture by manipulating substances and
Wow.
moving huge rock through vibration.
Look at the
Hence
detail.
the Great Pyramids and many other unexplainable architectural anomalies that were created in the past. The free energy was a
Those.
threat to the massive oil
Check those out.
industry and all the profits they were able to generate from the scarcity of oil. So the owners of this industry, who were extremely powerful,
Creepy
created a plan to
and
take
creepy.
any civilization and wipe them from history, so nobody would.
Whoa,
ever know
check that out.
Free energy.
Check, did you see that? Like, I don't know, I'm gonna pause that because that's an interesting picture. Check that out. Whoa. Look at that. That's amazing. I guess that's a drawing from that time. I mean, it looks like it is. I don't think anybody did that now, just to kind of, hey, let's mess with people.
Or know about free energy. They destroyed all their architecture and technology. This civilization was called
Tartaria, however you want to say it. What is it? Tomatoes. Yes. So anyway, the conspiracy guy on TikTok is good. Here's another one, Electro Florida.
Do you remember when the world was free?
Whoa, that's loud.
Well,
Sorry.
how about when the energy was free as well?
Check that out.
Everything was taken from the atmosphere and drawn into these buildings, to these pylons,
Yeah,
and many different things.
look at that.
And it was the ether that powered everything.
Mm.
And one day, the
Floods.
controllers of this world decided to take it away. They reset the population.
Look at how
It was
beautiful.
in every country. Just keep watching.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Wow. I gotta look at that. Sorry. Look at that. Whoa. What is that? That's weird. Somebody just in the air or that's cool though. Look at all of that detail. It's amazing.
And you'll see that everything was conductive.
Mm.
Everything had a way to tap into this energy, whether it be the obelisks, or the towers, or the cathedrals. Everything you look at, it interacted with the nature of the earth,
Wow.
the energy of the earth.
Look at that street light.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's incredible. I mean, you can stop the video and check it out and take screenshots or do whatever you want. I mean, it's amazing. That's what I do.
Why do we see no wires on the pylons of the old world?
No wires.
Today, our streets are filled with these pylons with wires. The ancients seem to have no wires.
No
In
wires.
fact, they were harnessing the energy. Have you ever noticed the metal balls which are on all of the ancient buildings?
Yeah.
We probably still have them now. These metal balls were filled with mercury.
Red mercury.
Antenna, which is harnessing the electromagnetic energy.
Yeah.
This energy was then sent to the mercury and watch what happens with mercury.
Check this out.
Cause the mercury to spin and
Yeah.
create the energy.
Right there.
Cathedral comes from cathode glow.
Mhm.
Anode and the cathode, because it's creating electricity.
That blew my mind the first time I heard that. Check that out. Look at that. Oh my God. That is so beautiful. Look at all of the ornate detail. Like, I mean, that's just, and look right there. They tried to, I guess some of it got ruined or damaged somehow and they tried to rebuild it and they couldn't even get close to doing anything near that kind of work. I mean, well, amazing. Wow. Amazing. I mean, do you see stuff like this in your neighborhood ever? Wow. It's not just in Europe either. It's in the United States. See, okay, this right here, I want to go back to that because this is what I try to explain to people. This right here, we didn't have fireplaces with fire in them, which is why when they say that these old buildings burnt down because the fireplaces were dangerous or whatever, their house caught fire. They didn't have fire. Look, if you look in that, that's blocked. That's not even, there's nothing in there. There are these two things here, and that's what are part of the conductors that make the free energy work. Don't ask me all the details. I don't know, but I know that that's part of what makes it work. And all the ornate details of everything in the walls and a really old painting that's very well done. Do we have any of that now? No, but we can get it back. Wow. People had no fear back then. They just stood on top of things. Look at that. That's just amazing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that last picture so we can screenshot it or whatever. Yeah, look at that. That's it lit up at night. And that's not neon, I don't think, but it's very old. It's very, very old. Ancient. And how's that lit up? How's that working? I'd like to know. Look at the detail in all of this. And all these spires, you know, with the balls on top of them that spin mercury. That's what made it work. That's what made. Look at this guy. Oh my God. Just standing there hanging on like, no big deal. Looking at the pretty lights. I mean, that's incredible. Copyrighted 1893. 1893, they were standing on top of these things, just hanging out with what looks like electric light bulbs, but you know, there's filaments inside of them. And there's the spinny thing. Yes, I get very technical, but anyway, that's just fascinating. Okay, so great fires. Cultivate, elevate.
1889, 1890, 1891, 1892, 1893, all the world fairs, which were all resets, those were all fires too. Just so happened everything caught on fire. Cow kicked over a lantern. And somehow everything caught on fire. Stone and granite caught on fire. Stone and granite
Yes.
caught on fire. Say that one more time. So then you.
Oh my God.
1850s to like 1900s and go, well, then how much of that is scripted? Seems like a lot of scripting is going on. Well, in 1851, we're gonna have a great fire. 1852, we're gonna have a great fire. 1853.
I like his copper bracelet.
1854, we'll have a hurricane. You see it? That's the thing. The more I would dive into the past, into these books, the more I saw the exact same thing on repeat. So then it comes down to, if the people don't realize that the same things on repeat, guess what? They keep doing the same thing to the people. They destroy history 100%. They told you the Oregon Trail. And the whole, you know, we're riding around on Oregon Trail. Meanwhile, they're getting rid of all the old world buildings, they're getting rid of all the beauties, all the statues, all that, so that they can now tell another story.
Yep. That's amazing. I love his videos. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yeah. Here's mud flood, Dr. Regenerated.
Russia is where you can find some of the most conclusive evidence of the mud flood. It should come as no surprise for those who know, when you look at old world maps and you look at things like Russia's coat of arms and the relations with the Tartarian Empire in the last reset, the mud flood. These scenes that we see from Russia, the fully intact log cabins in Moscow, should come as no surprise why we see so much evidence of the last reset here in Russia. The Siberian forest, for example. What a huge difference less than 100 years make. Speaking of Siberia, you ever wondered why most of the world's forests are under 200 years old? It is because, in my opinion, anyways, most of them were buried under the mud in the last reset less than 200 years ago. But this is just a small sample of the hundreds of pictures I've collected of the mud flood from Russia. And even more so, the thousands and thousands of pictures I've accumulated over the years from around the world.
Wow.
As I've said before, this is realm one. In every country, in every continent, in nearly every city. Let me know what city or country you want to see next, and I'll see what I can dig up for you. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Amazing. Yeah, he's really good. Okay, this is a look back in time. This is just a kind of like a historical thing. It's not really, I don't think there's any voice. Check out how everybody's just really just strolling around, walking around in the middle of the street. There's like no road rules. That guy is running a little bit. He just walks right in front of a trolley, no big deal. This car just drives right in front. This guy's just standing here staring like, oh, almost got hit by a cart. Oh well. Everybody's very casual. This kid, it's like, let's run in front and see what happens. Everybody just seems so different then. Amazing. It's just the difference in time, how different people were, their attitudes and lifestyles, and just I love that.
So it took a lot of digging, but they couldn't erase it all. Look at this newspaper from 1792. They talk about the Tartarians getting British goods from Russia. This world map from 1732 depicting Great Tartary right there, right there. And then, oh, look, is that the Great Wall of China? Look at that. Right there under Tartary. Check to see where that borders on a map today. And then look at this illustration from 1653 showing a map of Tartary. This newspaper from 1871. This one is a circus showing a wild Tartarian monster yak. What?
Classified CIA document from 1957. Tartar history was to be rewritten. Let us be frank, it was to be falsified. The king of Tartary has fallen upon the city of Pequin with such a great army as has never been seen since Adam's time, where 7 and 20 kings under whom marched 1,800,000 men, whereof 600,000 were on horse, and 4,000 rhinoceros that drew the wagons. Just as we can see on the map right here, a wall of 400 leagues built between the bottoms of the mountains by the king of China against the incursions of the Tartars.
In
Wow.
the 1920s, most Tartar leaders and intellectuals who wanted independence were eliminated through execution or exile. This policy against the Tartars continued to some extent until the early 1950s.
Wow, that recent. That's amazing. Until the early 1950s. I mean, that's not that long ago. It's pretty wild that we don't know about this. Okay.
To the object and
Oh,
a million pieces just fly apart.
it's one of my favorite.
In fact, using only 75 watts of energy, enough for a small light bulb, Hutchison made a 60-pound cannonball rise off the table.
Wow, look at that.
It would also fuse dissimilar
Okay, so this is John Hutchinson, for those who don't know. And he's invented this. I mean, this amazing, incredible.
materials, heat metal but not burn the wood it sat on, shatter metal as well as change its crystalline structure. This was something to write home about.
Beginning of 1980, I experimented with all the electromagnetics and electrostatic equipments I had at the time. I started to notice some very, very unusual effects, such as a room being filled up very quickly with multicolored lights, steel bars sitting on wood and not causing any fires, metal turning to jelly, things levitating and jumping off to the ceiling, or simply go up, hover, and then fall back down.
Wow. Look at the liquid.
Dubbed by some as the poltergeist machine, there is no one machine, just a lot of old army surplus gear, randomly tuned by John. No one knows how it works. John has apparently figured out the right combination of radio waves and electrical energy to create the effect. If it could be proven, its impact would be
Actually, some people do know how it works, but let's just say are being sort of quiet about it for various reasons.
huge. You'd have to rewrite most of the science textbooks.
Exactly.
Revolutionize the planet.
Mm.
If you can build a 0-point energy reactor about the size of your microwave oven, put it in the back of your house somewhere, you run your house. You don't need to you run all its electricity needs. You don't need to pull anything off the national grid.
Exactly.
But if you put that into the third world, you're going to revolutionize the third world. That is as much a threat to some people as it is a benefit.
Exactly.
And as far as the Hutchinson effect goes, I'm rather disturbed that the US government and aerospace corporations has it. The concerns of it being used for an evil force by the military industrial complex disturbs me quite a bit. I like to see it used for the helping of nature because there's so much pollution going on with nature. Mankind tends to want to fight each other all the time with wars.
Okay, that's Adams Minded. And thank you, Adams Minded, for sharing that on TikTok. That was great. And I'd like to see a lot more of that kind of content out there. So we have just a few more and then we're going to end it, but that was,
How the buildings of the old world was powered, harnessing the free energy from the ether above.
check this out. It's incredible.
This is displayed here on a mountain in Saudi Arabia. And in the right conditions, you too can experience the power of the ether at your fingertips. Free and unlimited energy all around us. Yet free and energy are two words that'll never go together for the elites today. There is no profit in combining those two words. It is a big part alone why so much of our past has been deliberately hidden. It's profits over people in today's world. It used to be the exact opposite. Question everything, friends.
Okay, so that was The Doctor Regenerated. Again, narrating that. I'm guessing he was the original content creator of that. And I don't know, I couldn't find the original, so I just posted that, but it's amazing. I really loved that. And just to see the way the ether was coming out of his fingertips. Incredible.
Vortex. You contain a vortex, whether it's fluid or electricity,
Check that out.
heat stuff of the world. You create a vortex, you keep it go, or a pyramid. You can see this with high voltage. Even Tesla used it in his oscillator. You put a starting point with a great pyramid. You connect all other ancient sites using a star or a pentagram. Then all of these spots are spaced harmonically away from each other. If we take out the straight lines, it becomes a signal. Since the Earth is a sphere, this is smart. Because if you map out the ancient sites, their degrees away from each other are in harmony with the pentagram. Every side on the dodecahedron is a pentagram, and each side contains the golden ratio within it. The golden ratio is a perfect vortex. When those spin on each side, the entire dodecahedron can spin, and none of the vortexes will tangle with any other vortexes.
Amazing.
To know where these vortexes are going, we need 3 points to determine the triangulation of the location we want it to go. Ironically, we have 2 fixed points in the sky and 1 constantly rotating one on an axis. That's Earth. So if we line up our antennas with those spots, we could communicate with light like we do today in a 4-dimensional internet network. Just make sure you keep track of the domain names.
Okay, Baseforge US. Everybody check him out on TikTok. He's incredible. I think he even wrote a book. I haven't read it, but I would imagine it based on what he shares, it's got to be amazing. So, okay. And then this is really cool. This is wearable Faraday, a wearable Faraday cage that he shows the Doctor Regenerated.
Tesla's Faraday cage, a much larger version of rediscovered old world technology. And now you see what a wearable Faraday cage,
Wow.
a suit of armor, is capable of.
That's why they wore suits of armor. This is why.
As cool as this modern day example is, it's just a shell of what it was really capable of. The true electric knights of the old world. In this drawing from the 1600s, you see that ether technology on both the outside of the building and in the interior, utilizing that same concept that Tesla showed us. Those ether towers, electrifying those knights and their weapons. But it's far from just that example. When you look at a lot of what was called medieval weaponry,
Whoa.
you can see it was made to take the arts of electricity, They call it the medieval or dark ages. I believe it was anything but. I
Exactly.
believe that was part of the golden age of humanity. I have no faith in any of the history we have been given, any of the dates, any of the events. As Napoleon says, history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. Just look at this magnificent Faraday cage, complete with lightning rod and antenna on top.
Amazing.
Combine this beautiful Faraday cage here
Holy
with one of those weapons you saw, those electrified weapons, and you have quite a capable soldier indeed. With all those ether
Yeah.
antennas and towers placed strategically around all that old world architecture, it sure make charging these seats up quite easy. Question everything, friends. Tell me something.
Amazing. I love that. That was just brilliant. Okay, this is the last one. This is World's Fairs. Dr.
And
Richard.
what we see here is absolutely breathtaking. The San Francisco World's Fair of 1915. Tell me anybody's building that tower with plywood and stucco,
No,
or any of these buildings
no way.
in less than 2 years. All the fully grown trees and shrubbery, the over-the-top architecture, all to be torn down in 6 months. Except for the ones they decided to keep around, of course. Perhaps a trophy
It's
of the
incredible.
old world.
That's amazing.
All these canal systems, all these reflecting pools,
Mm.
all the decorative ornament tops on the buildings,
I mean, okay,
the tropical garden.
look at the gardens. Okay. They supposedly built this in 2 years. Where did they get tropical plants that large and then ivy growing on the walls and no, I don't think that's 2 years old. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit incredulous.
The tropical gardens.
Look at the trees. They're too big.
I think this could be done in 2 years in
No.
modern times.
No, they're not.
Stunning. Let alone in 1915.
Look at this. Look at these trees. Those are not
And
2-year-old
even
trees.
Yet, is these were popping up all over the world. Nearly
Wow.
happening yearly, all looking to this same grand scale,
Wow, look at those
telling us the
trees.
same story. 2 years to build, 6 months they tore it down.
How could you build all that in 2 years they didn't have enough people, first of all, back then. And second of all, they had so many trees that are way bigger than 2-year-old trees. And they're going to transport them that size and then plant them and they're going to grow like that. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'm skeptical on that. It doesn't make sense. Makes no sense.
Even if it was temporary, to what purpose?
Right. Exactly.
Why would you go through such scales to tear something down
Right.
shortly after?
Makes no sense.
And why can't we do it today?
Right.
That statue alone. There's nothing temporary about that.
Yeah.
I believe these World's Fairs
Look at that.
to be the parades of the conquerors, showing off the lands inherited.
That makes more sense. It just doesn't. None of that other stuff makes sense. So I just hope you really enjoyed this. I did. And it's fascinating to me. I hope you find it interesting and let me know in the comments what you think. And thank you for liking and subscribing. I do appreciate that. And I will see you next time with more. I'm not sure, if I'm going to do more of these, but if you like it, let me know and I will. So let me see how to stop recording. That's a good one. So let me know what you think. I'd like to know. And I just really enjoy this. And I find that there's so many really good TikTok videos out there. And if you really look, you will find them. And once you find those, you'll find more and more will be shown to you. So seek and you will find, right? And, maybe this is all an illusion. Maybe it's not real. Maybe, none of this, that what they're saying is true or real. But, you know, if it is an illusion, just use your illusion, right? Like Guns N' Roses used to say. Use it to, you know, to make the world a better place. That's what I'm trying to do, and I hope other people are too. So thank you for watching and subscribing and liking and commenting. And I will see you next time. Ciao for now.